Alright, so the quotient of a number and 3 less 8 is 16. So I'm writing n over 3. Quotient means division. And then less 8 is minus 8. And it tells me that all of that is 16. So that means it's equal to 16. Okay. So that's all we're doing, is we're just translating that sentence into an equation. Questions on that? Yes?
We have to solve it.
Not right now. We're going to solve them in a second. Right now we're just going to write our equation. Okay. All it says is translate each sentence into an equation.
Are some of our homework problems like that?
Yeah, it's going to be writing an equation and solving them.
Okay, that's good.
All right, so number 2, it says Tiffany spent $95 for clothes. This is 15 more than 4 times the amount her sister spent for school supplies. So I know for a fact that she spent $95. So that was her total cost. Okay, so I know that can be on one side of my equation. So we're going to say 95 equals something. Okay. It says that this is 15 more than 4 times the amount her sister spent for school supplies. So we need to define a variable. So what variable do we think we're going to use? What are we looking for here?
S.
S for sister or supplies, either one.
4 spent. So 4 times S. What do we have?
So if I mean, you're defining as a variable. So you can. I guess you don't have to. So if it's telling me that this is 15 more than, what does more than tell me?
Plus.
Plus, but what does that than, more than, tell me? It tells me to flip it. That's a turnaround word. So that means that 15 more, so plus 15, that's going to go at the end of my equation.
Yeah.
Because I'm flipping this around. So 15 more than 4 times the amount, that's going to be flipped around. So I know 15's at the end. And then it's more than 4 times the amount her sister spent. We're looking for the amount that her sister spent. And it's 4 times that. So how do I write that?
4 times S.
4 times S.
Or 4S.
So that means that I have 95 equals 4S plus 15.
Couldn't it be 15 plus 4S?
Yes, it could be, because addition, it doesn't really matter. But technically it's flipped around, because that than right there tells me that it should be flipped around.
If it was addition problem and you didn't flip it?
Maybe. I might not give you full credit, but I'm not going to count it completely wrong. We need to know that than and from are those 2 words that tell me I've got to flip it around. Okay. Questions on number 2? All right, let's look at number 3. So number 3, it says Morgan has 98 baseball cards in his collection, which is 12 less than the product of 5 and the number of cards Tyler has. So, what do we think my variable is going to be here? T for the number of cards Tyler has? Because we don't know how many cards Tyler has. So we're going to let T be our variable. It tells me that there's 98 cards in his collection, so a total of 98 cards. So I know that 98 can be on one side of my equal sign completely by itself. And then it says that 98 cards is 12 less than the product of 5 and a number. We already said that number is going to be T. So it's going to be 12 less than the product of 5 and T. So how do I write the product of 5 and T, Nathan? 5T. And then it's going to be minus 12 because it says less than. Oh, wait. Hold on. So it's 5T minus 12. That less than tells me I'm flipping it around. Questions? No? Okay. What about number 4? Yes.
On this worksheet, is it going to be all two-step or will there be some one
I
step?
think they're all two-step. All right, number 4. It says Kendra pays $132 for shoes and clothes. The clothes cost $54 more than the shoes. How much do the shoes cost? All right, so we know that it's $132 for clothes and shoes. So combined is $132. It tells me that the clothes are $54 more than shoes. We're trying to find out how much the shoes cost, but do we know how much the clothes cost or the shoes cost? We don't know what either of those cost. So clothes, we don't know. Shoes, we don't know. All we know is the cost of both of them together, and then that the clothes were $54 more than the shoes. So if I'm looking for the cost of shoes and clothes, but I don't know either one of those, how can I write those two?
Oh, you can do like 2 of each variable.
So what, 2 times a variable or 2 different variables or? No, we want to keep it one variable because we want to be able to solve for the variable. And we know how much they cost together. But we don't know how much they cost separate. But we do know that the clothes are $54 more. So what do you think, Ethan?
Would it be 2 times the variable plus 54?
It's going to be 2 times a variable because we're looking at the cost of the clothes and the cost of the shoes. We don't know how much either one of those cost. So that's our variable. So we've got x and x. Okay. But we've got 2 of them. So that's why it's going to be 2x or 2 whatever variable we choose to let that be. It can be 2x because we know that the clothes are $54 more than that. Okay. If we didn't know that the clothes are $54 more than that, then it would be different. Unless it told us that the shoes and the clothes cost the same. Okay. So this is going to be, we know that our total is $132, and then it's equal to, what variable do you want to use? S. So it's equal to 2s plus 54. But remember that they asked me how much the shoes cost. So I need to go back and solve for my variable to see how much the shoes cost. So if I want to solve for S here, how do I do that? I want to subtract 54 from both sides. And then these 54s cancel. And it leaves me with 2s, which is equal to what? 78. So then I want to divide both sides by 2, which S is equal to 39. So that tells me what?
That tells you that the
shoes cost $39.
The shoes cost $39.
That's a lot for some shoes. You have to buy 10.
That's kind of cheap for some shoes.
Depends on what kind of shoes.
I got these for $130.
All right, questions on number 4.
I don't know how much these cost.
We good? All right, one more. Let's look at number 5, and then I'll pass out your worksheet.
Oh, we are. Okay.
The worksheet for homework, we don't finish it.
No, it's not anymore.
All right. Number 5 is really similar. Let me fold the paper so we can see. Alright, let's look at number 5. It says, during the spring car wash, the Activities Club washed 14 fewer cars during the summer car wash. They washed a total of 96 cars during both car washes. How many cars did they wash during the spring car wash? Alright, so we've got spring and we've got summer, right? Spring car wash and summer car wash. It told me that during the spring car wash, they washed 14 fewer cars than the summer. So, 14 less than the summer. And then we've got our summer car wash. They're wanting us to know how many cars they washed during the spring. So we don't know. We want to find out how many they washed during the spring. Do we know how many they washed in the summer?
No.
No, we don't. But together, what'd they do? They washed 96 cars. So this is just like the one we just did. We've got two variables that we don't know what they are. Or we've got one variable, but two different events, right? But we don't know how many cars they washed in the spring, and we also don't know how many cars they washed in the summer. But what we do know is that they washed 14 less in the spring than they did the summer. Okay? And they washed a total of 96 cars. So if it's a total of 96 cars, we know it's 96 is equal to something. Okay? London.
Oh, never mind.
Okay. So if I don't know spring and I don't know summer, but I know that spring was 14 less than summer, how can I write that with a variable? Ethan.
96 is equal to 2 times the variable minus 14.
2 times the variable minus 14. It's less than, so that's why we're switching it around. That's why the 14's at the end. And then we've got 2 times the variable. So I'm going to say 2C for cars. So I've got 2C minus 14 is equal to 96.
110.
Alright, what if I want to solve for it? Because they're asking how many cars they washed in the spring.
Add 14
To both sides, right?
and then divide 110 by 2, and it's 55.
Okay, so then I want to divide both sides by 2.
55 all by.
You did math.
Oh, yeah.
When is the person who choose a piece of water?
Okay, but does that answer the question as to how many cars they washed during the spring car wash?
Subtract 14.
The spring was 14 less than the summer, right? So that means I need to take my value for C, because that's just how many they washed in both, right? That tells me that C right here, so 2 times 55 is what they did. But then the spring was less than 14. So that means to find that out, I've got to subtract 14 from 55.
41.
So that tells me that they washed 41 cars in the spring. But how many cars did they wash in the summer? 55. So the C tells me that they washed 55 in the summer. And then when I subtract 14 from that, it tells me that they washed 41 41 cars in the spring. So if I
One before that,
I got it right.
like number 4.
The cost is 54. How much does the shoes cost?
Or,
Yeah, so the shoes cost.
uh,
Yeah, we've got to add 54 to that 39, don't we? Because the shoes were for 54 more. Yeah, I'm glad you caught that, Ethan.
okay.
Good job, he said you did good.
So we solved for 39 on number 4. We solved S was 39, but then they asked how much the shoes were, and the shoes told me, or they told me that the shoes were. No, we don't have to do that because the clothes were cost. The clothes cost more, so we don't have to do that for number 4. Number 4 is right. How we did it.
I'm sorry.
We are good at
I'm
terrible.
sorry.
Shoes always cost.
All right. Any questions? No. Okay. Questions? No. All right. I'm gonna pass out the worksheet. You've got the rest of class time to finish.